People think new year, new me, but guess what?
Those goals don't mean anything if you just put that out there. And this year when I cracked that code for me, it was so much easier to pick up a camera and go create.
I doubled my business income this year. And I think a huge part of that was, MIDCONVO fam, what's up? My name is Paul Weaver. Wait, first of all, Edward, tap in real quick. Grab your mic.
All right, what's up?
Let's go. 2024 is about to look different.
We're coming in with some energy on this episode, y'all, because it's about to be the end of the year. And as you know, I feel like we always do this at the end of each year. We just got to reflect on what we're doing, what we're working on, and how we're planning on attacking 2024.
This is the MIDCONVO podcast. My name is Paul Weaver. We got my guy here,
Edward Lee.
We're about to run it right now in the podcast. Let's roll that intro music.
All right, bro, we've never actually introduced ourselves like that, but that was some fire.
I like that.
We came in with some energy today.
Man, how are you feeling? I mean, we're Q4, year end right now, looking at the new year. What's happening?
Okay, so currently, December is a busy time. I think this is my first little nugget for those of you who are listening. If you feel like you need a break in December, that's fine. December is a time to kind of rest, to reflect, a little break, but you don't want to let your foot off the gas all the way. I truly feel like December is when you can get that momentum you need to hit the ground running in January. So be really intentional about your work time, but also be intentional about your rest time.
Ooh.
So I think for me right now, what I'm working on is how do I get my pillars, my goals, right, set up for next year? So next year, I want to get back on YouTube and crush that. I want to crush my client work. Okay. I want to be more present. I want to be able to work with bigger brands. And also got some coaching things in the works. But in order for all that to pan out, I need to be intentional over the next couple weeks before the year ends. And so for me, it's been a lot of daily deposits in the right direction. I'm not trying to make a whole business happen in 1 month.
I like that.
But it's also just taking the micro steps and not giving myself a pass just because it's the end of the year.
You said bigger brands? Bro, I'd be seeing your emails. You got some big guys rolling in. All right, enough Ed.
What you working on, bro?
I got to disagree a little bit about December. I think I'm out. I think a lot of people look at December as vacation. I love that. But if your business wasn't where you wanted it to be in 2023, and you think 2024, just going into January, is going to be like a restart, I love that for you. But you got to have structure and systems in place in order to make sure next year is going to look different.
Yeah, 100%.
That's just kind of my 2 cents is people think new year, new me. But guess what? Let's be honest. When January 1st hits, typically it takes until January 15th for people to be like, all right, I'm ready to go again.
Yeah.
So I just want to push and encourage people. I'm doing this in my own business. I'm not really making massive, big goals for what next year looks like. I'm more focused on how can I make sure that things are organized, things are structured, and I'm going to be able to, provide my clients with a better service next year.
What are the main things that you're going to do to bring in revenue in 2024?
Wow. How am I going to kind of break it up? So I feel like this year, just full transparency, I think it was 50% coaching, 50% client work.
Fire, yo. Coaching.
Yep.
My man turned into a full coach this year. Took it to the next level.
I loved it. This next year, I'm going to be doing 75% coaching, 25% client work.
Tap in.
And I'm breaking it up that way because I'm really passionate about coaching and adding value to people. That's why we do the MIDCONVO. But also at the same time, I find that as I get older and as I'm able to create content for my clients, I really want to make sure that I'm dialed in on what's bringing me the most passion and the most life.
How do you come to that conclusion though? You're at this point where you've been freelancing or just running your own business for so long now. And you've obviously made a pivot in some of these coaching elements and also with still doing, you're heavy into the client work still, doing other things. How do you get crystal clear on what you want to do though? I feel like a lot of freelancers struggle with that, especially towards year end where they're like, what did I accomplish this year? What do I want to accomplish next year? What are some practical mindset tips or even practical things that they can do or steps they can take to arrive at the destination where they're like, this is what I want to do. And this is how I'm going to do it.
I think it's testing things out. You don't know until you're in it.
Facts.
So often I feel like this was me even years ago. I'd be like, I don't know if I want to do that. Well, how do I know if I like it or not? So I think this year was the year of testing things, which next year is definitely going to be that as well. But when you're able to A/B test things, you start to figure out, oh, that's what I want. So I feel like that's definitely a perspective shift. And at the same time, you got to ask yourself, like, what's fueling you creatively?
Yeah.
And I think it comes in seasons. But how about you?
Which part?
What's on your heart for next year? I know you said big brands, you're going to focus on YouTube coaching.
Yeah.
But like, what are some things that you're kind of putting in to works right now in order to make that happen?
I mean, before I get into some of the things I'm putting into works, there's a huge mindset shift that I think I would love to share with anyone listening. I've recently decoded something for myself because I was in a massive rut in 2020, just this year. I feel like I struggled the most this year. It may not look like it on the outside, but this was one of the hardest years for me to get motivation as a creative. And so for me, I've been focusing on low effort and high effort. And I'm taking that into the new year.
I like that.
Low effort, high effort. Let me explain that just a little bit more. I've realized the last couple of years, all I've been focusing on is high effort. And when you only focus on high effort, as in like the best reel, the best YouTube video you could possibly put together, the best client work, like you're just pushing at 150% on all assets of your business, that's how burnout happens. And I'm not saying you shouldn't put quality into your work. You should never put out something that you don't believe is quality. What I mean by that is you need to figure out for yourself what is quality but low effort for you. And that is that testing ground that you were just talking about.
Yep.
And so for me, just from more like day-to-day level, like reels, for example, I found myself trying to freaking make movies every single reel.
My guy.
Which is like dope. And I love doing that still sometimes. But some people just get so overwhelmed by that aspect that they just don't create anything at all.
Wow.
And so the trick is, what is low effort for you? What can you do where you just grab your camera or your phone and it takes you 5 minutes and you can put it out into the world?
That's a helpful tip for everybody because, you know, I feel like so often we're thrown into this mix of we got to do everything.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you guys, this year, going into the new year, I'm like, I want to launch a YouTube channel. So at the time that you're watching this, maybe the first YouTube video is up, but I've put that off because the timing just hasn't been right. And I just want to let you guys know you don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
But to what Ed's saying, I love that you tested reels and you continue to test them because the fact that you're like, hey, not every reel needs to be high effort is cool. And I think also that's kind of what's happening right now with social media.
Yeah. And I think once you figure out what your low effort pieces of content are, that is how I think you can get consistent. Because if you don't have that low effort part figured out, it's very hard to be consistent with high effort content all the time. You know, it's all those people who like, you can make a YouTube video. There's some YouTubers who make like an absolute masterpiece and show up in the YouTube world like every 3 months. But to be honest, that's the outliers.
Ooh.
Right? And
I like that.
If that's what you're striving for, then go for it. But for people who are just trying to grow online, the best way to do it is to just figure out what is your high effort content, what is your low effort content, do more low effort content, and still do high effort content, but you won't burn out this way.
That's good.
Because low effort content, you can stay consistent, you can keep that creative juices flowing, and then that in turn will help you with your high effort content. And yo, this year when I cracked that code for me, it was so much easier to pick up a camera and go create.
Yep.
Because I knew that this was low effort for me. I don't care if it takes me 10 minutes. I'm going to put it out into the world and move on to the next.
Wow.
And it's like that A/B testing, right? It's the same thing with anything, any goals. And this is perfect because going into 2024, you can't like start and make a masterpiece right away. It's like the gym, you know? You're not going to go after one day and then become buff. It's like so compounded. That first day is a struggle. The second day is less of a struggle. It's the compound of over a year. Like what makes it easier, what was hard in the beginning will become easier.
Wow.
But that only happens through the daily deposits.
Yep.
You can't think your way to success.
No.
You need to actually do.
Bro, you brought up the gym.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. That was kind of a mic drop moment for me. I feel like I should just walk out of this podcast right now.
I feel like the way that we run our businesses is like a gym in the way that our relationship can be working out.
Yeah.
And going into 2024, what I'm going to be testing in my own business is working out muscles that I'm not used to working out. Because I feel like if you're overly comfortable, then that's when you become stagnant.
Yeah, it's like being bulky on top and you got skinny legs, bro.
Hey, chill. No, what it reminds me of though is if you go to the gym and you work out the same muscles every single time, great. But what if you go to a workout class where all of a sudden you're working out different muscles you start to become a little bit sore.
Yeah.
But muscle growth happens.
Sure.
And I think next year in my business and also in just MIDCONVO is we're going to be testing out things in MIDCONVO, but also I'm going to be testing out things in my business that's going to feel uncomfortable, but also, again, is going to require me to, put some effort into it.
For sure. I want to make this episode a bit quicker for those of you who are just kind of tuning in for a quick little end of year chat.
A little snippet.
But I want to go on a speed round of my 4-step process of getting right before the year.
Wow.
And while I'm doing mine, I would love for you to think about like 4 things that you'd love to share on how to go. So like step number 1 for me is figure out your day schedule, yo. To some of the people that are struggling, even myself sometimes, it's because you're just not managing your time properly in your day.
Yep.
You're like waking up late, you're sleeping late, you're not putting boundaries with screen time, you don't have time blocks for work. Like none of your goals will be easy to accomplish when you don't have that figured out first.
Wow.
The first one is like basically your schedule, time blocking schedule.
Love that.
Second one is figure out your like systems. Like, okay, you're editing, you're posting reels, you're sending out contracts, you're figuring out, like, I know some of you listening to this right now feel personally attacked maybe a little bit because you have no systems. Your contracts are everywhere. Your templates are everywhere. You open your desktop and you got icons all over your desktop.
Hey, put them in a folder.
Put them in a folder, yo.
Main folder.
Hey, you already know. You already know about that. You got icons all over your desktop. Just make a folder called desktop. Drag all that ish in there.
Get things clear.
Get things clear. So that's the second thing. The third thing too is stop putting goals like I want to make 6 figures. Those goals don't mean anything if you just put that out there.
Yep.
And honestly, it doesn't really mean anything if you just say, I want to make 6 figures. What you really need to figure out is how am I going to provide value to my clients? How am I going to provide value in my business? The money is a byproduct of that value.
Wow.
So don't worry about like, I want to make 6 figures. If you figure out a way to provide value, the 6 figures will come.
Wow.
That's like just figuring out the reverse engineer part of the value.
Like that.
And the fourth thing,
Yep.
really practical, hit the gym.
Yo.
I know it's not really a creative tip, but this year I took my diet more seriously. I took my fitness more seriously. And that was a huge contributing factor to me getting out of a rut. Because when I was trying to push, when I was in a rut, I was like, okay, maybe I just need to go out and like create more. Maybe I need to like hit up my creative friends and just talk more.
Yeah.
None of that worked because my body and my mind was just not in the optimal place to like be working.
Yep.
And I think sometimes people, you don't have to become like a gym rat and just go every single day, every like hour of the day, but just get some oxygen pumping through your body.
Yeah.
Eat a good meal, whole foods. Don't just eat frozen foods or processed foods all the time.
That's so
just
good.
Eat properly. And those are my 4 kind of speed round tips to get 2024 on like a good note. Get organized, take care of your health. And it's okay if you have some crossover, but like what are some like 4 tips like speed round for you?
I'm about to go off because I'm going to come from the perspective of someone who has 2 little girls and a wife and are trying to figure out how to, again, make sure that I'm able to provide, but also how I'm able to stay sane. And I'll be upfront with you that I've touched on this in past episodes, mainly because last year I had to get things in order with my schedule, but you said it, time blocking. Huge. As a dad, I need to make sure that I'm blocking off time for my family. So 9 to 5, I'm in my work. After 5, I'm closing my laptop. That's been super healthy for me. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting to drop this nugget or number, but I doubled my business income this year. And I think a huge part of that was when I was focused on my work. I was extremely laser focused because I had that other time for rest. You got to take care of yourself. So I think with that, tip number 1 is time blocking.
Yep.
Alongside that, you got to take care of your mental health. Man, photographers, videographers, filmmakers, you get to set the tone for how your client projects go. For me, I run my business like a self-agency. When I have projects with my clients, it's not just me. I bring on people for video support, hair and makeup. I have assistants. So they're looking at me as almost the pitcher in baseball. So I got to make sure that I deliver. So that's kind of a mindset shift is if you're used to being kind of behind the scenes and you're stepping into a role with the brand, guess what? You're going to want to make sure that you set the tone. And in order for that to happen, your mental health is important. Third thing is is the mindset shift of it's the marathon, not the sprint. Man,
Huge.
it is so easy to get distracted, especially with what's happening with Instagram Reels and just stuff on TikTok, where take a moment to just write down the things that are most important to you, what you're most passionate about, and run after that. And then lastly, instead of setting massive goals for the year, and I hate to call out people, but I think in the new year, most people set goals and then 4 months later, they don't hit them. Set incremental goals.
Yep.
So for me, I'm looking at quarter 1 and quarter 2 and how can I set goals that I can, try to achieve? And if I get even close to them, I'm gonna be proud of myself. So I think making sure that I set goals and then also I have times blocked off where I'm able to SWOT it and see, all right, am I hitting those goals? Where am I at? And then also, am I happy? And I think those are some important things to call out.
Definitely. Dang, that was nice.
Thank you.
That's some good tips. And it's kind of a speed round, and take what you will from this episode, whoever's listening, because it's kind of a lot of information of how you can move 2024 just better than you did this year. And I think my last point, we can each share one last point to end the episode. But for me, with goal setting, everyone's thinking about goals, how to be better. We have these practical tips. Think about your goals, write them down, then look at it and see, are these destinations or are these actions? Because oftentimes we set goals that are like, it's metric based. It's like, I want to hit this dollar amount or this follower count or this number of clients. But if you think about it, those are destinations. They're not really like, that's the end result.
That's good.
Which is good. But if you have that list that you make should be paired. Each goal that's a destination should have a list of actions. And if you have a list of actions of how you're going to attain that goal, you'll be way more aligned with like how you're going to do it.
I love that.
Because I used to just set goals and then at the end of the year, be like, oh, did I hit them? Did I not hit them? And now I'm like, I'm revisiting them, but I'm just getting more down to the nitty gritty. It's like, okay, I have a goal of hitting 100,000 subs on YouTube or 150,000 subs on YouTube or 250 grand or 300 grand or whatever in my business, right? If I have goals like that, what is my actionable list to get there?
I like that.
Yeah, that's huge.
My guy was just dropping numbers, but hey, I just want to share that one thing that might help you going into the new year or even in the new year is get in community with people that are also running the marathon with you, that are running their business in a similar way and are also better than you.
Huge.
Get in community because being a freelancer it can be lonely. And I want to encourage people to, use these muscles that we're maybe not used to doing because of the pandemic. Go to networking events, connect with people online. Tap into the MIDCONVO, connect with people over the DMs in an authentic way, do coffee with them. And if
ask them to pick their brain?
Heck no, don't pick their brain.
But I think it's like joke at this point.
I know, people be DMing us. But no, if you're in community, it's going to be so much more fun and enjoyable. And you're also able to then discuss the hard things that you're going through in your business, which will help you with that breakthrough.
For sure. I think that's pretty much it. I wanted to wrap up on this year. I think I just want to also take a second to just say thank you to everyone who has rode with the podcast this year and just even before this year. Obviously, Paul became a co-host like how long has it been now? 2 years?
Bro, it's been 2 years.
Oh my gosh, it's already been 2 years. But it's awesome being able to see all the positive feedback. It's really mind-blowing. Like me and Paul have businesses outside of MIDCONVO, but it just hits different when people come up to us about the podcast because it is like a passion project for us at this point, and it's something we're really pouring a lot into, and we're hoping that you can feel that on the other end of this mic or watching on video. So just thank you for anyone who has supported this podcast, commented, left a review.
We appreciate it.
Shot us a DM, shared a story. Like we really do, because this podcast is not going anywhere anytime soon. And this is pretty much still the early phase of something that I think will be a huge, huge resource and community for many more creatives to come.
That's good. And I think we're just getting started. I'm fired up. We got a lot of things in the pipeline that you guys will be able to find out about as you follow us and as you tap in. But like Ed said, thank you. We appreciate you. And the MIDCONVO, you're part of the fam. We appreciate you.
See you in 2024.